Canada is selling U.S. liquor again, for a brief time anyway. A new report says moderate drinking is good for heart health. Hey, I'm just the messenger, okay? Hey, and the Napa Costco may be a stop on my next visit to Napa. I'm going to go to Napa just to go to Costco. And Saudi Arabia is quietly lifting its ban on alcohol. All that and more on this week's episode of This Week Uncorked. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 80 of This Week Uncorked for Monday, January 26, 2026. I'm Brett Martin from Cork and Journey, and if you're not familiar with Cork and Journey, we are your number one source for corkage fees, as well as winery reviews, wine reviews, restaurant reviews, regional wine guides, and oh, so much more. Let's get right on into this week's wine news. Alrighty, the New York Times has an article by Michael Levinson reporting on how several Canadian provinces are starting to sell off the American liquor that they pulled from shelves and basically have had in storage since the whole little tariff war broke out. Kind of crazy, but it's not. They're basically just dumping what they've got and they're not planning on buying anymore. From the article, at least 4 Canadian provinces, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, have decided to sell stockpiles of American liquor that they pulled from shelves months ago in protest over President Trump's tariffs. But once the bottles are gone, the officials said they have no plans to buy anymore. The unusual sale has led to something of a shopping frenzy, as many Canadians have rushed to buy their favorite brands of American liquor. There have been lines every day, said Wab Kinew, the premier of Manitoba, in an interview on Friday. It passes the eyeball test of being a real phenomenon. Yeah, how about you just let American liquor get back on the shelves and everybody get over it? So Canadians are missing it, but now it's been pulled from the shelf and oh well, there you go. Moving on, this is crazy. So from the Circulation Journal, Marianne Piano and colleagues for the American Heart Association review the evidence linking alcohol consumption to cardiovascular disease across outcomes like blood pressure, coronary disease, stroke, arrhythmias, cardiomyopathy, heart failure. And the statement emphasizes that while low-level intake is most likely beneficial, heavier and binge drinking patterns are consistently tied to worse cardiovascular outcomes, and clinicians should prioritize proven lifestyle behaviors. So man, oh man, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's horrible for you. It's good for you. It's horrible for you. So many studies, though, basically 1 to 2 drinks a day, probably good for you, at least heart health. Anyway, here's what the article says. The available evidence suggests no risk to possible risk reduction when alcohol is consumed in low amounts. Schutt says no more than 1 to 2 drinks a day in regard to coronary artery disease, stroke, sudden death, and possible heart failure. In stark contrast, heavier alcohol consumption, such as binge drinking or consuming more than 3 drinks a day, is consistently associated with worse outcomes in every cardiovascular disease entity studied. So, moderate drinking, not bad for you. So the people that say any alcohol is bad, again, another study saying if you drink moderately, you're good to go. Alrighty. And in other wine news, this is crazy. The Wall Street Journal has an article by Georgia Wells on Napa's Costco, which has, I guess, become a huge wine destination, even across the whole industry slowdown that's going. And more producers are actually putting their stuff into the big retail chain. Piece really talks about the kind of the treasure hunt section. You can basically go in here and there's just so much wine at this Costco because local wineries are actually putting their wine in there. So from the article, when Costco opened here, Napa, in late 2024, eager customers camped out overnight, and Costco co-founder Jim Senegal joined shoppers to sign wine bottles. Now locals who work in the wine industry come for imports. Tourists look for deals on regional wines. Its wine selection benefits from shipments from small producers who don't make enough wine to sell at all the Costco locations. This is one of the key places for new gems, said David Wise, a sales representative for Urban Wine Brokers. There's a picture in the article, and they don't really address it completely, but basically it's got a bottle of wine from B. Wise, and it's the B. Wise Wisdom Red Wine. And I like this wine, and it's $48 at the winery, and it's selling for $19.99 at Costco. B. Wise said, here, take our wine, because you're not going to find this at all the Costco's. B. Wise isn't big enough to do that. So pretty crazy. And I guess, man, next time I'm in Napa, no joke, I'm going to have to go check out that Costco. All righty, and wrapping up the news, the Wall Street Journal, Omar Abdel Baki, reports that Saudi Arabia has begun to discreetly loosen its decades-long prohibition on alcohol as a part of a broader modernization and tourism push. The move is limited and incremental. It signals kind of how the kingdom is recalibrating its social norms to attract expatriates, global events, foreign investment, while managing the conservative domestic sensitivities, so to speak. So from the article, without making an announcement, the government in recent weeks has begun allowing non-Muslims with the premium residency status given to skilled or wealthy expatriates to buy beer, wine, and spirits at a store in the country's capital, Riyadh, according to people familiar with the matter. The kingdom is expected to follow that first step by allowing alcohol at exclusive hotels and resorts along the Red Sea coast, which is built up as a destination over the last few years, according to analysts and people familiar with the Saudi rulers' thinking. The introduction of alcohol sales has been in the works for years. So that is interesting as the entire Middle East kind of moves to become more and more westernized. I guess if Westerners want to go there and go on vacation, they may want a glass of wine or a cocktail occasionally, and so they're going to allow that. So good for them. And with that, let's get on to our wine and winery of the week. All righty, we're going to go to Rombi Wines in Carmel Valley. So this is really, if not downtown Carmel by the sea, but Carmel Valley, which is kind of about 40 minutes away. There are a lot of vineyards up there, a lot of tasting rooms, Ian Brand's up there, I Brand Wine, several others. So kind of a nice little place to visit. Salvatore Rombi, got to meet him. He poured all the wines for us. You know, it's just he makes his own wines. He's got his own acreage. And this is one, I think I've talked about this before. There was the fires and he had severe smoke taint that year. He was like, I can't afford to let the grapes hang on the vines and just die. So he actually bottled the smoke-tainted wine. It kind of tasted a little peaty. And, it was good with a cigar. I don't know what to say. But if you were up there, tastings are really inexpensive. I think they started about $10. Only inside seating, little kind of quaint little tasting room. You can see from the pictures there. No reservation required. Just show up if they're open. It's definitely worth trying out. And for our wine of the week, got a hailing back to last week with Bolante Vineyards. It's their 2021 Viognier from Happy Canyon Jack McGinley Vineyard in Santa Barbara. Bright, fresh, just gentle. A little bit of mango. It's just a nice little Viognier. And I'll tell you one thing that Chuck Bolante does is he makes he loves his Rhones, and he also can just make a decent Viognier. So rock and roll. Good job with that wine. All right, and with that, let's head on to our restaurant and corkage of the week. All right, La Bottega del 30. That's in Villa Sesta in Chianti, kind of just in the heart of Tuscany, out in the middle of the country. This place, just a really nice little quaint Michelin star restaurant. They've got 1 star, totally unpretentious though, and it is just nice. The chef owner was there, Helene Stoquet, I think, if I pronounced that correctly. Only seasonal ingredients. Felicina Winery is just down the road. They're pulling in all kind of local stuff there. The dishes were just exceptionally well done. The tasting menu was great. I highly recommend this place. We gave it 5 stars. It's going to cost you. I mean, it's quaint. It's open air. It's beautiful. Like you walk into a courtyard, you're outside. Every part of it is it just screams Chianti, screams like nice casual fine dining. If there's such a thing. I mean, it was a lovely little place. Great find. Don't know who recommended this to us, but whoever did, shout out to you. And they didn't allow corkage there. So we'll go to another Michelin star restaurant, this time on this side of the continent. So Masseria in Washington, D.C., $75 corkage fee and kind of contemporary take on dishes of Puglia. So there you go. Italian, beautiful. Never been there, but if I was, I'd bring a bottle. $75 corkage fee. Why not? All right, and that is going to wrap up episode 80. I don't know how we made it this far of This Week Uncorked. As always, please check us out over at corkandjourney.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite social media applications, your favorite podcast app as well. And hey, check out that interview that we did down here with Ian Cobble and the Cobblist, his new little wine club. And there's a discount code in the show notes as well. Get you 10% off your first order there. Until next week, everybody. Cheers.